Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend and a good start to your week. My name is Kelly Snodgras. This is my boss, Chris Sumner. We're with RS Financial Group, and we are so excited about our new weekly webinar series. Each week at 12:30 p.m. during your lunch break, we're going to be going live to discuss different financial topics. This week, we'll be discussing financial planning and budgeting 101.
Thanks for having us. Thanks to Shannon Massey. Thanks to Monet. Financial planning basics. Let's jump right into it. Right. So, an overview of financial planning. First of all, disclosure. Investment services offered through Virtue Capital Management, RS Financial Group, LLC, and Virtue Capital Management are independent of one another. All right, now that we got that out of the way. All right, so the ground we're going to cover today, we're going to start with setting goals. We're going to go into budgeting, and then we're going to finish up with an emergency fund. When setting goals, it's extremely important that you actually sit down and list out your goals, which a lot of people don't ever actually sit down with their significant other, whether it be their husband or wife. We use an acronym. It's called SMART. So make your goals SMART. You want to start off with a specific goal. Instead of just setting that I would like to be somewhere one day, it's extremely important to actually set that goal to I would like to have this business creating this amount of revenue, which is important for your business as you're all entrepreneurs and trying to build your revenue. Your goals also need to be measurable. Measurable by standards of did I reach my sales goals? Did I reach my yearly gross revenue? Did I spend the proper amount of money on advertising? On your personal level, your measurable goals would paying off debt. I want to specifically pay off these 4 credit cards. I want to, and Kelly's going to talk in a minute about the percentages of breaking down your income. So that would mix right in with a measurable goal. Your goals also need to be attainable. For instance, I would not have ever dreamt of being a NBA basketball star, so that was never one of my goals. You want it to be attainable, relevant to your family, relevant to your business, relevant to your lifestyle, and then timely, which you want to set your goals 2, 3, 5 years out, not 20, 25, and 30 years out, so that you're maintaining and reaching these goals, and then you start the process all over again. Moving right along to budgeting. Once again, this is something that a lot of people, they think it's elementary. They never sit down and actually write these things down and go over them in depth. But when you're creating your budget to reach your goals, you want to actually sit down and put out your income, everything as far as your paycheck, rental income, if you had any government benefits, interest, investment income, alimony, child support, all of those things. After you do that, you want to then list out all of your fixed expenses. That would be everything that each month you have to pay to keep your household moving forward. And then the very last thing would be your discretionary expenses. Discretionary meaning the things that you choose to spend money on versus what you have to spend money on. Going out to eat, a nice bottle of wine, movies, entertainment, things of that nature. So that hopefully will either give you a surplus or a deficit. Once you come up with that number, it's a lot easier for you to move into what Kelly's about to talk about, debt, paying off, and what you actually should be putting your money towards. So,
all right. So a lot of people are a little overwhelmed when they hear budget. It's kind of scary. How do I get there? It's a lot easier than you think. And I just want to take a few minutes to go over actual percentages and dollar amounts. So if you have a lot of debt, then we may need to, you may need to tweak this just a little bit. But so roughly these are going to be the percentages you should be spending on different items. So we're going to use your take-home pay, so the amount of money that you actually receive in your paycheck. You're going to want to allocate 25 to 35% to housing. Now, this is going to include your rent or your house note payment. This is also going to include maintenance and any other housing expenses. So then you're going to want 10 to 15% towards giving. So that's going to be any donations, tithes, anything like that. 10 to 15% to savings. So that will be to your emergency fund that Chris will be discussing after I finish. It would be to a savings account. If you have a company sponsored 401k or 403b, you would want to put some aside for that, or your individual retirement account. Then 10 to 15% to personal. So that's going to be haircuts, manicures, wardrobe updates, dry cleaning, those sort of things. 10 to 15% to insurance, 10 to 15% to transportation. And that's going to also include oil changes, car tags, not just the car note. It's going to include gas. And 10 to 15% towards food, 5 to 10% for utilities, 5 to 10% for health, which that's going to include doctor copays, any medicines, vitamins, that sort of thing. 5 to 10% towards recreation and entertainment. So concerts, eating out, that nice bottle of wine that Chris mentioned. And those are roughly the percentages that you should be allocating your take-home pay to. Now, let's go with some actual dollar amounts. Say your household combined income is $50,000 a year, and that's how much you actually bring home. So your home, that 25, let's say 25%, because it's always better to go on the lower end than the higher end. That way, if something happens with your pay, you're not already overextended. So we'll say 25% to your home. So if you make $50,000 a year, that's going to be about $1,000. So that's going to need to include not only your rent or your house note, but any maintenance. So keep in mind, if you have big trees, if you're in an older home, and plumbing or other items that may be going out soon. Now, we're going to allocate 10% for the following items, and that's going to be 10% of the $50,000 is about $417 a month. So you're going to spend $417 a month on giving, on your savings, on your personal expenses, and your insurance, as well as transportation, so your car note, gas, all of that, and 10% on your food. So that's about $416 a month on each of those things. And we're allocating 5% to utilities, health, and recreation and entertainment. So that's about $208 a month on each one of those items. And what you're going to want to do basically to get yourself your actual individual budget set up is you're going to write down your total income for the month. So what Chris just mentioned, any income that you have, you'll write that number down. Then you're going to want to list out all of your expenses. And once you do that, you're going to want to take what your total income is and then break it down by those percentages that we just went over, so you can figure out exactly how much you should be spending on each one of those items. Then once you do that, let's compare what are your actual expenses and then how do they match up to the target that you just set with the percentages. So you may need to adjust things. Maybe you realize you're spending way too much on eating out. So then you bring that down to a more manageable number. And if you are in debt and you've got a lot of debt to pay off, then you want to also take these percentages into account, and maybe you only need 2% in recreation for the time being, and then put the rest of that money towards paying off your debt. So that's kind of how to get started with the budget, and Chris is going to go over a little more in detail about the emergency funds.
So hopefully after all those numbers and after we do get to that 10% savings, we need, especially individuals that are entrepreneurs and creating a business, because as you know, you have good months, you have great months, and then you have not so good months. Hopefully we all have great months, and that's what we're shooting for. But in order to operate your household and in order to operate your business, an emergency fund should be set aside. An emergency fund does not need to be put at risk. An emergency fund is, at any given time, that amount of money should be accessible to you. So a bank account, a savings account, something that does not have the opportunity to lose over a 6-month period as far as value. Now, longer term investments outside of an emergency fund, yes, that's something that you work out with your financial plan and your investment advisor. But an emergency fund, you need to have the ability to access that at any given time. So that would be a 6-month period that in 6 months you would have to use the entire amount of that emergency fund. What would that be? Like I said, savings account, bank account, some government securities as well. But create that, and what Kelly just said to you is extremely important. Understand those percentages of your total income. And if you do that and work backwards into your budget, then it gives you that final number that you can put down for what's important, and that's your future. Let me just show you just a quick slide. Once you get to the point that you have that 10% that Kelly was talking about, and say, let's just say that 10% is $3,000 versus $5,000. Well, just something to kind of get you excited about for future weeks here to come that we're going to be talking a lot about, and that's how to actually create a plan. You have to make the decision to get started. That's extremely important. And this chart shows here, if you look at the age of 20, if we all would have done what our parents told us, yes, and start saving at age 20, well, by 65, you see the difference in the blue line, the red line, and the green line. At 35, if you make that decision, some of us didn't have the opportunity to do that. So let's not beat ourselves up. This is just a mathematical truth that I want to discuss. Now, some of us are right here in the 40s and 45s. We have to work a little harder to get that savings up to where we can create an income for the rest of our lives. And that's, after all, what is important, is being able to survive after you retire. So there's the differences. $3,000 a year from age 20 to 65 would be roughly $679,000. From 35 to 65, $254,000. This is with compound interest at a 6% annual growth. From 45 to 65, that's $120,000. So I want to thank you very much. Once again, thank you, Shannon, for inviting us. We will be doing this every Monday. Kelly, anything to add?
I think that's about it. And we just, we thank you for watching and look forward to next week, and would love for you to go to our website or email us if you have any questions. Our website is rsfinancialgroup.com. You can email Chris at CHRIS at rsfinancialgroup.com, or me, Kelly, Kelly, at rsfinancialgroup.com. And we look forward to seeing y'all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.